Yo, what's up, guys? We're back with another Void Titan build, and this is the ultimate Void Titan build that not a lot of people actually use. If you guys watch the screen for this entire clip, you'll notice that we always have Devour up, we always have an Overshield up, and we're also spamming our grenades and all of our abilities nonstop. You also notice that we're making enemies explode just by shooting our crossbow sidearm that we're using here. This build is really unique and a lot of fun, and hardly anybody actually uses it. I got this idea for this build video from one of the comments in one of my last videos. I asked you guys to comment builds, items and exotic armor pieces that you wanted to see. And someone actually asked for this specific exotic armor piece, which is the Mask of the Quiet One. So Mask of the Quiet One actually has a exotic armor piece called Dreaded Visage. And what Dreaded Visage does is it grants us ability energy anytime we are damaged. And while we have a Void Super equipped, Rapid Final Blows and Final Blows while critically wounded are going to grant us Devour, which Devour grants us grenade energy and health regen, which is really, really good. So Mask of the Quiet One is actually pretty good by itself, but if you pair it with the exotic weapon we're pairing it with, which if you guys haven't caught on yet by the gameplay that you're watching, it's the Buried Bloodline. But if you pair Mask of the Quiet One with the Buried Bloodline, they're really, really good together. And here's what I mean. So the Buried Bloodline has a weapon trait called Violent Reanimation. Violent Reanimation grants us Devour anytime we get multiple Final Blows with this weapon. So anytime we get multiple Final Blows while we have Devour, we're just going to keep stacking our Devour and getting it over and over and over again, which is absolutely insane. And then we're not done yet. So Buried Bloodline has some other cool traits too. So it's got an intrinsic trait called Hungering Quarrel. It double fires tracking bolts, and then these bolts leech health from the target they hit. So Master of the Quiet One benefits from walking in, getting damaged, and getting ability regeneration. And Buried Bloodline gives you health back while you're taking said damage, which is really, really good for the combo. And then if you have the catalyst for the Buried Bloodline, we are also going to have a perk called Split Vein Lineage, which allows, while Devour is active, the Buried Bloodline will weaken targets on hit, which is really good because it means targets will do less damage to you and you'll do more damage to them. So you'll be getting tons of ability regeneration back as long as you're taking damage and healing and just not dying. So you're going to be able to spam your grenades, you're going to be able to spam overshields, and you're going to be able to spam your melee, which is absolutely insane. And I'll show you a little bit more about how we're going to get overshields later in the build. Alright guys, so for this build, we're actually going to be rocking the Void Titan subclass, and we're going to be using the super ability, Ward of Dawn. Ward of Dawn is going to be our first source of Void overshields. Anytime we cast it and we're inside of it, or our teammates are inside of it, we are going to get an overshield. Ward of Dawn is also really good for reviving teammates that are downed in a really bad spot on the battlefield. So it's going to be great for protection and gaining an overshield. And to talk about overshields a little bit more, they're not just going to be used for survivability in this build. Later on in the build, we're going to be pairing them with some really good seasonal artifact mods that are just going to amp up our ability regeneration. So make sure to stick around and see those to ensure that you have the most ability regeneration possible. Alright guys, back to the subclass. For the abilities in our subclass that we're going to be using Rally Barricade, Shield Throw, and Scatter Grenade. Rally Barricade is going to be our second source of overshield that we're using. And the reason we're going to get an overshield anytime we use our Rally Barricade is because we are pairing it with the Void Aspect Bastion. So Bastion is going to grant us overshields anytime we use our Rally Barricade. And then it's also going to help our overshields regenerate slowly while we're standing next to our Rally Barricade. The third source of overshield that we're going to be using is our Shield Throw. So anytime we hurl our shield to our target, the shield can ricochet off targets and surfaces, and it grants overshield for each enemy that we hit, which is really, really good to get overshield. Helps us get overshield in a tight pinch, and it can kill targets, which is also a big plus. And I am done talking about overshields for now. So for our grenade ability, I mentioned we were running Scatter Grenade. So this build is really focused on being able to get quick kills with your grenade, and Scatter Grenade is really, really good with that. So we're going to get kills with Scatter Grenade, and we're going to spam this ability non-stop in this build. Moving on to our aspects, we are actually going to be using Offensive Bulwark and Bastion. Offensive Bulwark is going to allow our grenade charges to charge significantly faster anytime we have an overshield or when we are inside Ward of Dawn. It's also going to increase our melee range and damage, and if we get melee final blows, it's going to restore a small portion of our overshield and health to extend its duration. And then, like we talked about earlier, Bastion is going to grant us an overshield anytime we use our Rally Barricade, which is really, really good. Alright, let's jump into our Void Fragments now. If you guys remember earlier, we were shooting our Buried Bloodline, and it was making all of our enemies just explode. Well, that is all possible because of the Echo of Instability. So, the Echo of Instability, anytime we get a grenade kill, it's going to grant volatile rounds to our Void weapons, which is really good. It's going to be great for ad clear. It's going to make everything explode, and it's going to weaken them as well. Second fragment we're running is the Echo of Persistence. The Echo of Persistence is going to increase the duration of all void buffs. Void buffs being Devour, Overshield, and Invisibility. Will never be invisible, but our Overshield and Devour will have increased effects, and we'll essentially have them up infinitely non-stop, unless we die. And then for our third fragment, we're running the Echo of Harvest. Defeating weakened targets creates an Orb of Power and a Void Breach. So anytime we defeat a weakened target with our Buried Bloodline, we are going to get an Orb of Power and a Void Breach that we can pick up, which is going to grant us Devour and grant us healing and grant us ability energy for everything else. And then for our last fragment, we are going to be using the Echo of Starvation. Picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power grants Devour. So we are literally going to have Devour and Orbs of Power non-stop in this build. For weapon recommendations in this build, obviously we're going to stick with using the Buried Bloodline in our secondary slot, but for your primary, feel free to use whatever you want. Use something that deals with champions and harder content, and then if you really want to focus on keeping the synergy in the build, I'd recommend using something like a Void Rocket Launcher in your heavy slot, or just a Void weapon in general. Alright, now let's talk about our armor, guys. So essentially for our armor archetype, we're going to want to run the Grenadier, and we're going to want to run 200 Grenade if possible, and then we're going to want to focus on super statistics and the melee statistic afterwards so that we can cycle our abilities and get our super up as much as possible. And if you guys are grinders and want a specific armor set, you're going to want to run the Smoke Jump armor set. Essentially, Smoke Jumper armor set is going to allow us to pick up an Orb of Power and gain a period of rapidly decaying damage reduction at 2 stacks, and then at 4 stacks, we are going to be able to defeat powerful combatants with finishers, and then we're going to get special ammo progress, which is really good for our Buried Bloodline. And then moving on to our armor mods. For our helmet, we're going to be running double Harmonic Siphon paired with special ammo finder. For our gauntlets, we're going to be running Impact Induction with double firepower, and then for your chest piece, just run whatever resistance mods fit the encounter you're on. And then on our leg pieces, we're going to be running Better Already and double Absolution. And then for our class item, we're going to be running Bomber and double Distribution for ability cooldown. Alright guys, now let's talk about our seasonal artifact mods. Most of these are going to be focused around ability regeneration and what we can do to get the most bang for our buck. So in our seasonal artifact mod, we're going to be running Unstoppable Hand Cannon, Sidearm, Overload, Rapid Fire, and Anti-Barrier Bow. And you guys can change those, just depends on what weapons you're using. Then we're going to be running Tightly Woven, while Woven Mail is active, gain increased. Class ability and grenade stats. So anytime you pick up, if you're playing in a fire team, because this build's not going to use Woven Mail, but if you play a fire team and you pick up a Tangle, you're going to get Woven Mail, and you'll have increased abilities. And then we're going to be running Threadling, Proliferation, doesn't really matter, just need something to fill the buck here. And then I'm running Elemental Benevolence, granting allies an elemental buff, gives class ability energy. So we're going to grant lots of overshields and potentially Devour to our allies, so we're going to get lots of class ability energy back. Then we're going to be running Refresh Threads, picking up an elemental pickup, matching your subclass, or a Tangle while you have Strand Super Equipped grants energy to release charged abilities. So anytime we pick up a Void Breach, we're going to get lots of energy in general for our abilities back. Then we're going to be running Threaded Blast, doesn't really matter for us. And then we're going to be running Elemental Coalescence, this one's pretty important. Defeating targets has a chance to create an elemental pickup matching your equipped super element, so we're going to get lots of more Void Breaches. Then we're going to run Energy Acceleration, sustain damage with micro missiles, doesn't really matter for this build, but I just needed something to fill the slot. And then we're going to be running Shield Crush, this is important. While we have an overshield, it's going to give us melee recharges faster and increased damage. And then we're also going to be running Elemental Overdrive, picking up an elemental pickup or Tangle increases damage to weapons of the same element. So that's what we're rocking, guys. We're going to have lots of ability regeneration because of this, and that's the seasonal artifact. Thanks for taking the time to watch my video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. Destiny's kind of been slow lately, but I really still enjoy the game. It's still fun to build craft, and Renegades is right around the corner, so hopefully we have some fun. Thanks for watching. If you guys want to support the channel, like, subscribe, and comment. Those are all free ways to support the channel. Please let me know what builds you guys are using this season right now. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace!